Good day and welcome to Code Escuela. In this session, we will talk about logical operators. Logical operators are used for comparing Boolean values. Let's get into some code and see what these operators are. And so now we have logical operators. So with C#, we have 6 logical operators that we can use. Okay. So first one is we have the logical negation. And we have this symbol, the exclamation point or the bang sign. Okay. So how do we use the negation or logical negation operator? So with logical negation, the idea is that it will reverse the value of a Boolean value. Okay. So we have this example, right? So if let's just replace this first. So let's replace with a fixed value of true. Okay. So if we run this one and see the result, it would be false. And why is that? Because with logical negation, it will negate, or we can think of it as reversing a Boolean value. Okay, so in this case, the opposite or the reverse of true is false. Okay, so that is the idea behind the logical negation. Now, we can also use a variable, or if you have a method call or a function call, you could also use that. So any valid expression, as long as it results in a Boolean value, then you can reverse that, okay, or negate. So in this case, we have is it red that is initialized into false, and then we use that operator. So we can read this like not is it red, okay, so the opposite of is it red. Let's run this quickly and see that the result is true. That's because is it red is equal to false, and then we do the negation operator, which switches its value or returns the opposite of it, which in this case is false. Okay, so it's read as not is it red. Okay, so that is how the logical negation works. Okay, sorry, let's just comment this out and let's move to the logical and operator. So its symbol is the ampersand sign. Okay, only one. So in our example, we have here. So the idea behind the logical AND operator is that for the operation to result in true, both operands, the left and the right operands, must result into a true value. Okay? So what does that mean? So we have here an example. This one at line 21. So true and true. You run this one, it would result into a true value. Okay? And so that is how you get a true value from the logical AND. Any other value, either of the operands, the left and the right operands, if one of them is false, then it would result into false. So what does that mean? So let's take a look at these lines 22, 23, and 24. So the operands have false on either on one of its operands. Okay, so if we run this and see the result, you see that all of them resulted into a false. Okay, so that is for the logical AND. Okay. Another example also is if you are dealing with, if your operators are like, for example, a function call. Okay, then this is what the logical AND would do. So in this example, if we have false, the right operand or the right function call would still get executed, but the final result of this operation would still be false. So how does that work? Let's run this one. Okay. You see? So inside the right operand function is this one. So this one has a simple console.write line statement, and then it returns false. So with the logical and, even though the left operand is already false, it still executed the right operand, okay, or the right side, but then the final result would still be false. And so we have here another example, both function calls. So the left operand looks like this, much like the right operand. We only have changed the word a bit. It's just for an example. It still returns false, okay. And as you can see, if you run this code, you see that both function calls were executed, but it still resulted in false, since the result of these two function calls are false, okay. So that's for the logical and. Right. Next up is the logical or. So with logical or, uh, sort of like a variation of the logical and, but with logical or, the idea is that you only need to have one true value. It could either be uh, on both operands, okay. So we have here example. So let's uncomment this and run this, and let's see the results. Right, so we have here, so first on line 29 we have true or false. Of course, you only need one true value, then result in true. At line 30 we have false and true. Since the second operand is true, then it would result in true. Now on line 30 we have both operands at true, so it would result in true. And then at line 32 we have both false. Of course, you would get a false result. And now another example also is, we have if either operand is a function call. All right, so if the right operand is a function call, or the left, it would be executed. So both operands would still be executed. But and then if the one of the operands would result into true, then that would be true, okay. Let's close this up. I think I've already run that. Sorry about that. Let's try it running again. So the result of this operation is it has executed the contents of the right operand. The right operand results into a false, and then it the final result would be true. All right, since the left is already true, okay. We take note of this because the other variation of it uh, would we will be dealing with it also, okay. Now another variation of the logical or is, we have the let's go back here, the logical exclusive or. So we have this symbol, sort of like a arrow pointing up, arrowhead, right? In short, this is XOR, XOR, or whatever name you want to call it. So with XOR, the idea is that uh, you only need to have one true value that would result into a true value, but you cannot have both. What does that mean, right? Let's uncomment this and run this one, and let's take a look at each of the results. Okay, so we have here at line 36, true or false would result in true. It's great. At line 37 we have false or true, or X or true. Of course, it would still be true. Now at line 38 we have true, X or true, but the result is false. What does that mean? It means that uh, for it to result of for an XOR operation to result in true, you can only have one, okay. but not you cannot have both. It could be on both operands. So you only have one true value at a time, right? So that is false already as a result. As compared to uh, the now we're getting ahead of ourselves as compared to the other one, the conditional or, right? So, or the logical or. So for logical or, the result of true true would still be true. Okay, and so let's close this one. So that's how you deal with logical exclusive or XOR. It's quite a name for an operator. Next up is we have conditional and. So how does the conditional and works or work? Uh, it's much like the logical and, but uh, for conditional and, it would only result into true if both operands are true. Okay, any other uh, combination of expression that one has false, then automatically it would be false as a result. So let's look at the results of these operations. So now we have here at line 42, we have true and true results in true. Okay, and it has to be both. Now the rest, starting at 43, 44, and 45, all of these operations resulted in false. All right, since uh, conditional and would only result in true if both operands are true. The rest would be false. Okay, false and true is false, true and false is false. Both false would result in false. Okay, now we have here another example that has a function call. So with this one, with the conditional and, if the left operand is false, then it won't bother executing the right operand. Okay, it would immediately return false. So if we run this one, and we can see that the result is false. It had never, or it did not execute the right operand at all. That would be the difference between the logical and. So with logical and, regardless of the result of the left operand, the right operand would still be executed. Okay, so that's how, or that's the difference between this one, between the conditional and. Okay, so we have this another example, both function calls, both operands, and yeah, you can see that the left operand is executed, but it resulted in a false, or I mean it returned false, so it would automatically result into a false operation, and then the right operand will never be executed. Okay, so that's what the conditional and is all about. And finally, we have our conditional or. So we have double pipes. We have the symbol for this, double pipe. So yeah, let's look at the example. So for conditional or, you only have to have one true value on the operands for it to result in a true value. Okay, or in it true. So looking at examples, or this example, you have both true or true, then results in true, false and or true. I'm sorry. Let's do that again. True or true would result in true. False or true would result in true. True or false would result in true, and then false or false would result in false. All right. So that's a bit simple. Now, when it comes to like function calls, this is the difference between the logical or. So with logical or, both operands would get executed, right? But with conditional, the moment it hits true on the left operand, then the right would never be executed, right? You can see in this example that the left is already true, then it would just return true. The right would never have a chance to be executed, right? So this one we have false. We run this one, then the right operand would have a chance to execute, and then it would result in false. Since the result of the right operand is false, then basically the result would still be false because this would be simplified into false or false, all right? And for our final example, we have both function calls on both operands, and yeah, the result would be false, but both operands have been executed since they're both function calls. But the final result would still be false since both function calls returns false. Okay, so that is all about conditional OR, right? So I guess we have covered uh, the most of these logical operators and its examples. And yeah, that's uh, all good. This session has been all about logical operators. Thank you for joining us in this learning and see you in our next session.